Here we are, kids. Here we go. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show for another day. Thank you for being with us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN 1204. Hot outside. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. I was out in it. It is our episode 378, and I could not be more pleased to be here. I hope you feel the same way, and maybe you'll give us till 3 o'clock this afternoon. Honestly, whatever time you're able to give us, I'm appreciative of it. We have 3 full hours until we make way for the drive with Brian Wilson. We are a part of how many? I should do this math. 14 live and local hours starting at 5 a.m. in the morning with Nashville's Morning News. The young Chris Hand, who has just completed his second day full-time on the job from 9 until noon. Yours truly until 3 in the drive with Brian Wilson. There you go, the local lineup. I'm not forgetting Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro or Red Eye Radio, but you know how it goes. Speaking of local lineup, you can find us at J Street Korean Grill and Bar, not to be confused with J Street Korean Bar and Grill. Totally different thing. But the J Street Korean Grill and Bar on July 26th, the come one, come all. Tickets available at 997WTN.com. The entire gang will be, well, not the entire gang. Headless Bell will not be there, but he never goes places. Mason, you're invited. Mason controlling the experience again today in the absence of Bell. You know, you can come. I'll buy you dinner.
I appreciate the invite, but I think I might be working that night, unfortunately.
Well, if you're not, just understand that the invitation is open for you for the hard work that you do for our station and for me.
I appreciate it.
I will be happy to buy you dinner. And I think that would actually be me buying you dinner. I don't think that I'm just, saying, here's some free food.
Eat the scraps off your plate.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, take that. I don't care for that.
That was on the floor. You can have that.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. Youngster in radio, you take what you can get. You check the break room every day, right?
Every time.
Yeah, no doubt. Bottom floor?
Yep, all the time.
Remember the bottom floor, too, because the salespeople keep all the good stuff on the bottom floor.
Yeah, I've noticed.
That's why I call them the sales weasels, because they'll abscond with some food. But you do get some good scraps in the break room from time to time. Plus, it's my understanding, at least this has been my experience since the age of 15 being in radio, that apparently, based on my life experience, based on empirical data.
Oh, yeah?
That it's a free-for-all in the fridge. So anything in the fridge you can have.
Unless it has a note on it, of course.
If you want
more free game?
If you want to make a sandwich in a radio station disappear, put it in the fridge. If you want to make it disappear quickly, put your name on it.
Sounds like an episode of Friends all over again.
That's awful. Anyway, but you're invited. J Street Korean Bar and Grill, or Grill and Bar, I should say. That's coming up July 26th. Just over a week away. We invite you. Tickets are still available, but tickets will go, and we want you to have them. Space is indeed limited. Pamela Furr, Chris Hand, Dan Mandis, Johnny B., Matt Murphy, Brian Wilson, and you. And I'd love to see you. Okay, lots to get into today. I'm hot because I made the decision to walk in downtown Nashville today. It was in error.
Yes, absolutely.
At very least, my decision to wear blue jeans was in error.
Oh, goodness.
So I cut over, and I'm thinking, I'm outthinking myself. I have some buddies who are in town from my days back in Birmingham who are sports guys, and they're over at the Grand Hyatt Hotel.
Okay, yeah.
So for those that don't know, we're at what I like to say the butt end of Music Row. We're the dark, shady, dead-end alley on Music Row. Literally, dead-end alley.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so you just have to jump across the interstate and, cut over one block, and you're there.
Yeah.
No biggie. So I looked it up. It is 14 minutes. It's about a mile. All right, no problem. Well, I outsmart myself. I go down to Munbury and cut over Frist through the Frist campus, the Art Center. And I'm thinking, well, I'm right there. Oh, no. And I am aware that the Broadway Bridge is being rebuilt. But I'm on foot, and I figured surely they have a pedestrian cross.
Yeah.
No. They do not have a pedestrian cross. You need to go all the way down to, like, Rosa Parks to get to the pedestrian cross. And it's not like it was that far, but every step of the way, I was like, stupid people, stupid, make it hard, stupid. Why is the SEC Media Days even in the Grand Hyatt if they knew they were building Broadway, the bridge over Broadway?
Because you'd assume that Broadway was already done with how much traffic it normally gets.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's a fair assumption.
You would assume that the two would know.
Yeah,
that
communication would have been.
That the Grand Hyatt, but the Grand Hyatt's not saying they want the business.
Oh, absolutely.
But you would think the SEC would check with the city or whatever.
Absolutely.
Oh, they don't care. They don't want to make it fan-friendly.
They're going to come anyways.
That's true. A bunch of Georgia fans hanging out in the lobby on the off chance that they get a chance to meet Kirby. He's in today. The University of Georgia. When's Tennessee in? Do you know? Is that tomorrow?
I think so. I can pull it up here in a second. We can check while you.
Well, anyway, SEC Media Days for you SEC Media fans. You want to catch a glimpse of your favorite star or your favorite coach. They're over there at the Grand Hyatt Hotel. And do not walk from Music Row to there. Otherwise, you'll fall over dead, which I almost did on the way back. 615-737 Pleasantries, and then we'll get into it. 615-737-9986. That is the telephone number. That is also the super text number. And I invite you to be a part of the show either of those ways, especially if you are a listener who has a child between the ages of roughly 7 and 10. I believe those are elementary school ages. I think you want to listen to this first hour, because we're going to have some real talk about what's going on in the city of Nashville. We will have real talk about what's going on in Davidson County, in the metro system. Adrian Battle apparently doesn't care about your kids. And I wonder when someone is going to make her answerable to her failures as a school superintendent. And sadly, she has co-opted the chief of police in her effort to prevent school resource officers from entering elementary schools. I don't believe for a moment they're excuse-making, and you shouldn't either. And I'm wondering, where is everybody on this? Where are the parents on this? And I will discuss it in a moment. 615-737-9986. We will also at some point or another, actually I say some point or another, should be in the third hour of the show, give you a mayor's update. So I was ready to go off. I've been preparing to go off on Jim Gingrich for like a week and a half, and I prepped my rant yesterday by saying that Jim Gingrich was a liar. And people say, well, man, Murphy, that's harsh language. What do you got to back that up? Well, if you define a lie as something you know not to be true at the time that you say it, and I do, a lie is saying something you know not to be true at the time that you say it, or writing something that you know not to be true at the time that you write it, or posting, or whatever form of communication you're in, sign languaging something that you know not to be true at the time that you sign language it. And I believe in my heart of hearts that Jim Gingrich knew and knows that his dumb political ad regarding the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway racetrack was a lie. Because what he said in that ad indicated that instead of spending money at a racetrack, I'll spend those funds on police officers or teachers or whatever he says. I could pull the ad and play it, but it doesn't matter now because Jim Gingrich has dropped out of the race for mayor of Nashville. Yes, out of the race. Why? Can I just go ahead and take credit? I don't know that I should get credit, but Murphy calls him out one day on the radio. That was yesterday. And 5 hours later, he suspends his political campaign.
I mean, I think you have as much voice to take it as anybody.
I think so, too.
You're the one calling him out.
I'm going to go ahead and take it. If anybody else wants it, call me. Let me know. We'll talk about it. I'll give you halvesies or something. But so far, I'm just going to take it.
Maybe like 70-30, 80-20.
Yeah, it's like the last
you
sports
did most
shop.
of the work.
It's the last sports shop.
Yeah.
Does anybody want the last sports shop? I'm going to take the last sports shop. If you want the last sports shop, let's dicker. We'll talk about it. But until then, I'm just going to take it.
Might as well.
So I'm taking the Jim Gingrich pelt. Pelt Gingrich is on me. That's on Murphy. Just mark that one down. Gingrich pelt, give that one to Murphy. How many more are coming? Well, I don't know how many more political campaigns are sinking $2 million of their own money into their political campaign. I think it is likely that Jim Gingrich, I was polled recently, and I'm wondering if it wasn't a Jim Gingrich poll because of a couple of questions that they asked during the poll. And I'll tell you a little about that when we discuss this in earnest coming up in the next couple of hours. But Gingrich is out. And who knows? I mean, I would assume that Freddie O'Connell and Heidi Campbell have good name ID. Jeff Yarborough is too weird to get elected mayor of Nashville. That's just my take on it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. He just comes off as odd. I think Alice Rowley is the most conservative candidate in the race, and were I voting in Davidson County in the mayoral race, I would be voting for Alice Rowley. I tell you that not to convince you to do so necessarily. I simply tell you that because a lot of people ask me. But we will discuss in the third hour of the show. Coming up in hour number 2, you may have seen a storyline involving Miranda Lambert, country music megastar Miranda Lambert. I had a conversation with a friend about this last night, and they said, have you seen the Miranda Lambert stuff? And I said, no. And they said, you should look. And they told me about it. And when they told me about it, I kind of sided with Miranda Lambert. And because the spirit of what I was told was there was someone disrupting her show, taking selfies and acting the fool, and she shut it down because they were ruining the experience for everyone else and told them to knock it off because she was getting really pissed off. That's what she says. And I said, you need to get off your selfies. You need to get off your phone. In general, it annoys me that people go to live events that they are experiencing in real time and all they want to do is film them and watch them through their phones. Wears me out. I don't get it. I understand you want to take a photo. I understand you want to take a commemorative moment to memorialize wherever you are and whatever you're doing. I do not understand the constant. I think Chris Hand said, the filming of the fireworks is the epitome of this. It will never look as good as it looks with your naked eye. Ever, ever, ever.
Absolutely. And I think one of the funniest things is everybody thinking that people on like Instagram Live or on their Snapchat stories thinking that they want to watch somebody else go to a concert through their iPhone.
I mean, I suppose this is the only way we capture moments like this. Because when those moments do happen where, whoever, Harry Styles gets hit with a battery or whatever, those moments are always caught on camera now because people are always filming crap now. But yes, nobody wants to see you on row 48.
Or even up, like, way up in the nosebleeds trying to record.
And it's just a blob of light.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing?
It's like, imagine, like, Mac said he went to the Blink-182 concert the other night. Imagine Mac recorded the entire thing for his Instagram story.
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
That would have been interesting, for
and
sure.
We can sit there and live vicariously through Mac Maury in the balcony area or in the upper deck or wherever the hell it is. No,
the entire band looking like ants.
It's just ridiculous. But that said, so I'm kind of on the side of Miranda, like, you know what? Put down your phone and watch the show. But then I saw the video, and I did a complete 180. And we'll talk about that in the 1 o'clock hour, and we will have at 1:30 one of the individuals in the video. So, on the selfie, I shouldn't say in the video. This is not the person that made the video of Miranda Lambert. This is, in fact, one of the women who was taking the selfie that stopped Miranda Lambert's show in Las Vegas. She will be on the phone with us. Her name is Adela, and she'll be on the phone with us at 1:35 this afternoon to talk about her experience. That should be pretty exciting. I know I am. I hope you are. Much other stuff to get into as we get the show lumbering under its own weight. You're always welcome to participate. 615-737-9986. 615-737 WWTN. Obviously, I've got a number of breaking news stories that we want to talk about today. The North Korean story detaining the American soldier is out there. We'll give you the latest on that. Donald Trump says that he is potentially the target in a January 6th investigation and predicts his arrest and indictment in the Jack Smith probe. The powers that be in the Biden White House are bound and determined to take away your ability to decide who your Republican nominee is going to be. And that is wrong. There is not a pressing reason to continuously indict Donald Trump in this regard. Plus, these are flimsy cases at best. Yes, I understand that Donald Trump may have extended the boundaries to a certain degree with regard to obstructing justice in his effort to point out the dog and pony show that went on at Mar-a-Lago several months ago involving classified materials. That remains to be seen in a court of law. But we all saw and have seen what Donald Trump said and did on January 6th, and now apparently it's a Department of Justice indictable offense that he did not act swiftly or enough or did not say exactly the right things in the aftermath of individuals overrunning the Capitol on that day. We'll discuss that as well as the show moves on. Plus, there is a local media figure that has been threatened with death because of the Covenant Manifesto. This would be the CEO of the Tennessee Star. And Tennessee Star is a good online publication. Michael Patrick Leahy was apparently threatened in an email with death. And the individual doing so has been arrested. Way to go, law enforcement. So we'll get into that as well. You on the phones, of course, all morning long. I forgot to tell you, or all afternoon long, I forgot to tell you my camper story from yesterday. Plus, I went out to the GlockStore yesterday and laid down a time. So if you're not familiar, I will be at the GlockStore from 3 to 7. I'm in Brian's time slot on the drive from 3 until 7 on Friday. And we had planned on me being out at the GlockStore, so I'm doing the entire show from McGill's world-famous GlockStore on Friday. And I am particularly excited about your opportunity to meet and surpass Matt Murphy in the Matt Murphy Challenge.
The hardest challenge ever.
And let me tell you, I went out and did some shooting yesterday, and Dan Hughes is such a great instructor. I've never been that great with a handgun. I've always been pretty good with a long gun. Because that's what we used when I was a kid. I mean, we did a lot of hunting, deer hunting, dove hunting, turkey, you name it, we did it. And all of it with a long gun. My grandpa taught me handgun safety and taught me how to use one, but I've never really trained. Dan has put me through 2 training sessions, and I'll tell you all about it coming up in just a couple of minutes. But it's fun. You can go out and for $20, you can attempt to meet my time, and you get swag if you beat me. You get like a hat. And you get the bragging rights. And I encourage you to do it on Friday from 3 until 7. But if you want to do it before, you can. You can slip in there. And for $20, they provide the ammo. They'll set the target range up for you. You just have to go in and beat my time. And let me go ahead and tell you, it's not going to be that easy. It is speed and accuracy, 7 targets, 14 shots. And I did it in 9.5 seconds. And that was down. Well, I'll tell you what the original time was when the time comes. So, anyway, there's that going on. When we return, what is the Metro Nashville Police Department thinking when they tell us that with a year and no monetary obligations, they can't hire 70 people to go into elementary schools? We'll tell you the story next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I've told you often about the Mill Creek View Tennessee podcast. I know Steve Abramowitz. I like Steve Abramowitz. I've been a guest of his, and he's been a guest of mine. And I think you need to go know what he's doing down in Franklin and in the surrounding communities with regard to local angles on local news stories. He has the Franklin issue involving the sexual predator, the illegal alien sexual predator. That is absolutely covered on that podcast. Plus, he, of course, has the Mill Creek View newspaper online at mcview.us. That's mcview.us. Steve is the CEO and editor-in-chief of that publication. He also interviews artists and authors and cultural touchstones, entertainment figures, sports figures, and, yes, political figures, as a matter of fact, frequently the #1 show on politics on Podomatic. Found on Deezer, iTunes, iHeart, Spotify, all your favorite podcast apps. Go there and see him and tell him I sent you to the Mill Creek View Tennessee podcast. Matt Murphy recommended it. It's Mill Creek View with Steve Abramowitz online at mcview.us. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Channel Greatness. Let's talk about what that is. It was an organization started by a songwriter named Stokes Nielsen. Stokes wrote a song recently to honor the Women's Military Memorial in Arlington. He sang it there, as a matter of fact, as a part of the 75th anniversary of the Women's Armed Services Integration Act and Women's Veterans Recognition Day. It's a fabulous song. I've heard it. Stokes does a great job, but he wants to find the next great singer in Middle Tennessee. There are a lot of singers in this area. And believe it or not, a lot of singers listen to Matt Murphy. And so Stokes and I got together, and we thought, well, let me tell folks that he's looking for you, and then you can contact Stokes, and I put you two together, and we got a great singer and a great song, and we got a great recording. He's looking for the next Tennessee artist who wants to be a part of this recorded version of the song. And here's the info for the Strength of America song project. This is going to be so cool. The WTN audience has a lot of singers, a lot of music lovers. If you know somebody that sings that you believe can do a good job, we're choosing one singer from the state of Tennessee. Go to strengthofamericasong@gmail.com. Once again, strengthofamericasong@gmail.com. Contact Stokes. He'll be back in contact with you. Let's put it together and let's make great music with Stokes Nielsen. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 12:28, flying by this afternoon. Hot outside, nasty weather coming. Be on the lookout, friends. Nastiness. Apparently, and I don't know exactly when. I've not paid that much attention, but later on, right? Tonight, let's find out together, shall we?
What are we looking into?
We're looking into weather.
Oh,
Seeing what time these thunder boomers are expected to come by, because they're coming. Heat into the 90s, and right now it says drizzle. What? Is it drizzling?
I don't see anything outside.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's cloudy.
By the way, if you are available, you might want to, on episode 378, what's the name of the episode today, by the way, on Talk TV?
You like Cowboys? Matt Murphy sure does. Having fun and rants on the Matt Murphy Show.
That's fun. That's pretty good, Mason.
I thought it was good.
Yes, I do like Cowboys.
I do too.
Joey, you like movies about gladiators? See, that's a dated reference. You don't get that one, but that a lot do. But if you're watching over on Talk TV, you like how I repurposed the whiteboard?
I think it looks great.
Added a boat.
Do you have a license for that boat?
I do not. And I don't have to, because I was born before 1989. What did we learn yesterday?
We learned a lot.
We learned a lot yesterday on the radio show. But I did a little. I liked my frog. I did a little repurposing of the frog. Made him. It's now a transgender frog. So yesterday the frog was identified as a boy, and today my little frog has grown some Goldilocks and some eyelashes and put on some lipstick and some rouge.
How many fairy tales are we going through this week? Yesterday, 7 dwarves. Today, Goldilocks.
That's true.
What's tomorrow?
Oh man. You know what? I always rooted for the Bears. If you want to do this, I'll do this, because I always rooted for the Bears.
Make that into the public domain. Make a movie off of that.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
Winnie the Pooh. That'd be great. There's probably something out there, because that hit the public domain at some point.
Oh, maybe turn it into kind of a fugitive thing where, the first 45 minutes, it's the build-up where Goldilocks is a thief. She breaks into the bear's house. One of the bears kills Goldilocks, goes out on the lam. And then, Tommy Lee Jones comes to find the bear that killed Goldilocks. I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
I mean, it could be, why can't I think of his name? From the Taken movies.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
I have a set of very particular skills. And one of them is not acting. Yeah.
Well, acting like Liam Neeson.
Did you ever see that movie?
I did, yeah. I saw the first two.
The first one good?
First one, I enjoyed it. It gets very repetitive, and then every action movie after that is pretty similar.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to upset some feelings, but that's okay. We do that on a regular basis. John Wick kicked ass.
I saw the fourth one.
Did you?
I finally saw the fourth one.
And?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid ending.
How many times can you get hit by a car, man?
That whole scene was great.
It was well shot.
Yeah.
The shot I've never seen in the building.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I've never seen a shot.
That was really cool.
Never seen a shot like that.
You tell me about it popped in my head when me and my dad were watching it. I was like, that's really cool.
I mean, because somebody's thinking. Somebody recognizes there's only so many ways that we can do this. Is there a way that we can do this that's never been done before? And I've never seen it done like that before.
Yeah, it definitely makes me think of like a video game, like run through. Stuff. Yeah.
Well, the whole bit's a video game, right?
I mean, absolutely. Yeah, the invincible main character, but bust through a bunch of bad guys. Yeah,
got all the lives in the world. You know, can kind of replenish. He gets better weapons. He can do more things. Yeah, goes up levels.
Everybody's like, I guess I'll help you now.
Well, right. I mean, because even the suits.
Yeah,
that's it's kind of a way of doing that. But anyway, I just feel like at some point I'm like, okay, this is just a different way of seeing the same thing. But I guess that's the point.
It's the movies people pay tickets to see.
Sure. I want to see Oppenheimer.
I do too. Which are you seeing first, Barbie or Oppenheimer, though?
I will be going Oppenheimer. I probably will see, but I will not see Barbie in the theater.
I've heard Barbie is more of a like PG-13 movie, not like a kid's movie.
Well, Hand was saying that he feels like, and I heard him yesterday saying that he feels like that they missed an opportunity because
absolutely, yeah,
you can't really have that mama-daughter bonding or that daddy-daughter bonding if you're going to make it sexually charged.
Yeah, it's a totally different story than what I think people were initially thinking when they first saw Barbie movie.
Like the parents that took their kids to see Sausage Party just because it was a cartoon.
Yeah.
And then they leave and they're all mad about it because
loss of appetite.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're watching on Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, you'll see that our frog from yesterday is now transgendered and they're identifying as a female frog. But that's okay. Froggy went a courting. It is 12:33 on Supertalk. It can be hard to find someone you trust when it comes to a large home repair, like a roof repair, or in this case, what we're talking about right now, heating and cooling. Efficient Heating and Cooling is a small company with big service and big results in their minds. Jeff Eddy and his crew do what's right. They do what's right the first time. They've proved it time and time again. It is so difficult to make the decision about when to replace and when to repair your system. Jeff Eddy's going to walk you through that, walk you through every option, walk you through all of the scenarios so that you can make an informed decision. Most companies just want to pressure you to get a new system. They make more money that way. Jeff Eddy does not do that, and he understands that money matters and the budget is tight. So he keeps overhead low by keeping invoices small. No overtime. How about this? No overtime rates on the weekends or the evenings. Jeff Eddy knows that your AC does not know that it's 8 o'clock if it goes out at night. So why should you have to pay more? That's his philosophy, at least. Now, when it's time to replace, they offer free financing on your next unit, and they're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric, an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. EfficientHVAC.net or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient Heating and Cooling. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy, and I'm so proud to talk about Paul Winkler and how he does his business. When I first came to Nashville, I was looking for a financial planner, asked around the station, and I heard the name Paul Winkler over and over again. Had the opportunity to sit down with Paul, and a 15-minute conversation became an hour and a half. I was so impressed. Paul became my financial planner. And I don't get paid to say that. I do get paid to say nice things about Paul during this advertisement, and I'm legally required to tell you that. But I love Paul, and I would not lie to you when I tell you that he simply educates in a better fashion than anyone that I've ever been around. Paul's message is simple. Education is key. It's evidence-based. It's backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. You know me, and you know that I wouldn't steer you the wrong way. PaulWinkler.com for more information or to set up a 15-minute telephone consultation, or 615-851-1950. 615-851-1950. Call Paul Winkler today. Tell him Matt Murphy sent you. I'm in a quote battle with Bruce over the movie Airplane. Here's how that has gone. You know, Joey, you ever see a grown man naked? You ever been to a Turkish prison? Wrote Bruce. Joey, you ever have a dog jump on your leg, rub up and down? Quotes Matt. And Joey just Bruce just came back with, surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley. It is 12:38, almost 12:39. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Yes, friends, you've caught me. The irony of the transgender frog is that a frog is one of the few creatures that can change genders early on, depending on how many female or male frogs that you got. Yes, that was the entire point. Actually, I just wanted to draw a female frog with eyelashes and lipstick. That was really the whole point there. All right. If you have kids, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids, elementary age kids, I specifically want to talk to you on the phone lines. 615-737-9986. By now, you've probably heard that the Metro Nashville Police Department Chief, John Drake, a man that I've heard wonderful things about, by the way. I've heard many, many great things about Chief Drake and his leadership. He has now doubled down on his commitment to not have SROs in elementary schools. Now, some are calling that a commitment to keep schools safe. So Governor Bill Lee is facilitated funding through the legislative process, $140 million to make sure that every single school system does not have money. In each public school system in the state of Tennessee, if there is money as an impediment to putting SROs in the school system, Governor Lee and the General Assembly says that should not be the case now, because they have funded this by offering $140 million around our school systems around the state. However, just the other day, John Drake said that staffing shortages limited his department's ability to hire full-time SROs in metro schools for the 70 elementary schools. I'm going to play you a few clips from John Drake here in just a moment. But I am curious how you react to this. According to Governor Bill Lee in a statement Friday, he said, "We worked with the General Assembly to pass a historic, overwhelmingly bipartisan school safety package because nothing is more important than the safety of Tennessee students and teachers. Any decision by local government not to use every tool at their disposal is a disservice to parents and teachers who are counting on us. Like the vast majority of Tennesseans, I believe every public school should have an access to an SRO without financial burden." The Metro Nashville Police Department has applied for $3.375 million in safety grants for all middle and high schools. However, Drake says he doesn't have the staff to apply for another $5 million to fund full-time SROs for all 70 elementary schools. Now, this is on the heels of Adrienne Battle, the head of the Metro Nashville school system, saying that she doesn't want elementary schools to have SROs in them because they scare kids. That's the implication, although they won't say it that way. We had Freddie O'Connell, a mayoral candidate, on our show last Friday, and he said as much. I support Adrienne Battle's position on this because, the kids might get nervous. Well, if kids are looking at police officers as a negative, generally speaking, is that not a problem that needs to be addressed? Do we not need our 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds to know who to run to in the event of an emergency? Now, I'm willing to put it down there where the goats can graze on it, okay? We got way too many parents that don't like cops in Metro Nashville. How about that? How about we've got way too many parents that look at the police as a negative as opposed to a positive force in their community? We got way too many parents in the Metro Nashville school system affecting the decision-making of Adrienne Battle on this front to the point that she will not do everything in her power to protect children because she fears what? Backlash? Now, I'm going to tell you how it is. The only excuse for not putting SROs in our elementary schools in the Metro Nashville school district is because you have people in position of decision-making power that don't like cops or parents that don't like cops. And I want to know why. I want to know what your problem is. Is there an occasional bad cop? Of course there is. Do we call them out when we see them? Of course we do. The vast majority of our police officers are hardworking individuals that are trying to get the job done, that are trying to protect and to serve. Hell, at the Covenant School, that could have been so much worse but for police officers on the job doing the work. Does it make me upset? Yes. Do I yell about it? Yes, for good reason. Because what John Drake said yesterday, here's the quote. And I just lost my audio. My bad. We have 530 miles in Davidson County, he said. And with our level of staffing, we can't pull 70 officers away from the streets of Nashville, keeping our communities safe, and put them in schools at this time, Drake said. If we accepted the grant, it's $5 million. If we accepted the grant, we would have to have those positions filled by June 30th, 2024. Otherwise, we have to give it back. And we can't accept funding if we don't have those positions. Does anyone believe Chief Drake that that's his reason? Let me do a little quick math here. I'll pull out my handy dandy. 5 million divided by 70. $71,428.57 per position. $71,000 per position. Now you're saying, well, Murphy, there's administrative cost. Okay. Let's say it costs you $1 million of the $5 million grant to administer the grant, which is ridiculous, but we are talking about government. That still provides $57,142.85 per position for individuals wishing to apply to become permanent SROs within the Metro Nashville Police Department. You're telling me you can't fill those positions? You're telling me that you, in a year, from now until June 30th of 2024, that you couldn't do that if you wanted to. The point is you don't want to. Chief Drake doesn't want to because he's been told by Adrienne Battle that she does not want to. And I want to know why. I want one good, legitimate, justified reason. Because I'll give you a reason why you should. Do I need to say it? In the aftermath of the Covenant School tragedy, there was a rally downtown Nashville. I was there. There was a walkout in our school systems. Our young people in our school systems in Metro Nashville and Davidson County said no more guns. We don't want guns in our schools, they said. And I went down and I talked to some of these folks. Now, I believe them misguided. I don't believe they have a healthy approach to the Constitution of the United States of America and certainly the Second Amendment and our God-given right to keep and bear. I disagree with them. But at very least, I appreciated their passion. At very least, I understood that they saw an issue that needed correcting, and in an emotional way, they were responding to that issue. I believed that they were trying to do something right. Now, I disagree with them in their approach, and I do not believe that red flag laws are going to help. And I don't know what you mean when you say you want to, quote, ban weapons of war. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm willing to listen. A lot of passionate parents, a lot of passionate students, yes, left of center folks that were down there protesting, holding up signs, saying no more. Why aren't every one of you picketing in front of Adrienne Battle's office right now? I thought you wanted school kids safe. Is this not a way to make school kids safe? Is this not a way to make school kids safe? What John Drake is doing, and I don't know the man, and once again, this isn't personal, but what he's trying to do is pee on your leg and tell you it's raining. Oh, I can't take the money. I can't fill the role. Have you tried? You have a year. You have a year. What I would suggest to you is he's taken the marching orders of Adrienne Battle and he's trying to put a shine on it. And I don't like political figures or people in positions of political power lying to me. I don't like it because it's lying to you, especially those of you who have youngsters in the Davidson County school system. Drake went on to say that it is ultimately the department's goal to fill the 70 full-time positions. In the meantime, he said he will add new school rapid response teams of highly trained officers to respond to emergencies. Also, each precinct will send extra patrols around elementary schools. Drake also said that he spoke with Bill Lee and emphasized that they have a strong working relationship. More on the Super Text line and a full bank of telephone calls, and we'll get to each of you in just a moment. It's 12:51. Hang in there. Hey, friends, Nashville Painting Company wants you to know that it's exterior painting season. Oh, yeah. I know it's hot outside, but those guys are used to it, and they can get the job done quickly and expertly. All you need to do is call. When you do, you'll speak with Jeremy Reeves, the owner and operator of Nashville Painting Company, or one of his qualified employees. And they will work out a time to come out and give you exact scopes and pricing. They will even give you a color consultation if that's what you're looking for on exterior or interior work. They have professional estimates. They have 3, 5, 7, and 10-year warranties available. The best brick painting warranty in Nashville, that's 10 years. years. Free estimates and color consultation. They are fully licensed and insured, of course, and locally owned and operated, and I love that about these guys. And they're not the most expensive painters in town. They're just the best. NashvillePaintingCompany.com to see examples of their fine work. NashvillePaintingCompany.com, or give them a call today and schedule an appointment. 615-635-0350. 635-0350 for Nashville Painting Company.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. You know, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this: people buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying, and what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this: what if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does, this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing, and I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler, Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Several of you are asking, and I was in conversation with an individual during the break there. So they made the funding mechanism for the SROs a part of their annual budget, so that has to pass every year. The state's interest here is not to pass an unfunded liability on to the local communities, so they have to pick up the tab in future years for the SROs. The point, unless you don't believe them, was to make the cost of hiring SROs something that is off the table. They want to take care of that cost and give these local communities the ability to hire these individuals. My point is this. Chief John Drake claims, we can't possibly hire 70 people in the next year, otherwise we have to give the money back. Well, have you thought about trying? I mean, last I checked, it was just several months ago that elementary school children in the city of Nashville were slaughtered. Pat is in Gallatin. Hey, Pat, how are you?
Hello?
Hey, Pat.
Yes, I was calling to say that I have been a substitute teacher in Sumner County for more than 10 years, and there are quite a few SROs in the school, and the children adore them and love them and feel so protected by them. I've been on 2 real lockdowns, and the fact that the SROs were there was so comforting to the children. So I don't know where this woman is getting her facts or her ideas, but I don't think they're applicable to real life.
Yeah, I think it is as simple, Miss Pat, and thank you for the call. I think it is as simple as Adrian Battle does not believe that it is politically expedient or beneficial to announce the hiring of SROs in elementary schools. And I don't know what the causal factor for that is. I don't want to presume that I do, but I don't. Hopefully we'll get some clarity on it. You know, there was a time when our local communities would tell us that money is the problem. Well, we don't have the money for that. Well, the General Assembly eliminated the money factor. And now we're being told, well, we can't possibly hire 70 people in a year. Really? Really? In the meantime, if you're traveling eastbound of the city of Nashville on I-40, starting around the Gordonsville area, Lancaster, Buffalo Valley, heading toward Carthage, or right around Carthage, it is a backup on I-40. It looks like the road is completely shut down due to an accident there, some sort of construction. So I just wanted to note that one of our loyal listeners was wondering what was going on east of the city, and that is all I know. We'll get to more of your calls coming up in the second hour of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Terry Lloyd Austin.
We believe that he is in the BRK custody. And so we're closely monitoring and investigating the situation.
A military official told ABC the private is 23-year-old Travis King. Former President Donald Trump received a letter notifying him he's the target of special counsel Jack Smith's probe into efforts to overturn the 2020 elections. Republicans say it represents more political attacks. Democratic Congressman Pete Aguilar, who served on the January 6th committee, said,
"We said time and time again our focus was to seek the truth and to make sure that there's accountability."
This would be a third criminal indictment against the former president. Federal data shows a 70% decline in illegal entries at the U.S.-Mexico border since early May, but ABC's Jim Ryan says a possible whistleblower is now alleging humanitarian abuses.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says it isn't migrant families that worry him, but drugs and weapons smuggled into the country, and he's redoubled his efforts to secure the border. An unnamed state trooper has sent a letter up the chain of command saying that officers have been ordered to push migrants, including children, back into the Rio Grande and to withhold drinking water from them. A DPS spokesman won't deny that it's happened, but insists those are not department policies.
Texas is one state dealing with triple-digit temperatures. ABC's Alex Stone says another major city in the region is breaking a record today.
Today, Phoenix breaking its all-time record for the most days in a row, over 110 degrees. A record of 18 days was set in the 1970s. Today marks 19 days, with many more to go. Also, records are being broken for the most nights in which the low doesn't get below 90. This week, the nighttime lows in Phoenix have been in the mid-90s.
You're listening to ABC News.
The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief is located in Franklin and well worth the drive for anyone within the sound of my voice who is experiencing pain on their body. If you have neck pain, it's more than just back pain, although typically when you talk about chiropractic care, people associate that with back pain, either lower or upper back pain, but it really is all over your body. If it's a part that moves, the Dr. Gill Center, odds are, can alleviate some of that pain. I'm talking back, neck, knee, hip, elbow, can all be treated with no needles and no downtime. At the Dr. Gill Center, they've been an innovator in this industry for well over 30 years. They were the first to bring decompression therapy to Nashville, and they keep up on the state-of-the-art technology like their Class 5 laser system and red light therapy. So, wherever the pain is, you need to get with the Dr. Gill Center and schedule an appointment today. 615-882-4838. 615-882-4838. The Dr. Gill Center. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you. The Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, and Chronic Pain Relief in Franklin. Hour number 2, Matt Murphy Show. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, welcome. Glad you're with us. We're in studio today until 3 o'clock. We'll hand off to the drive at that time. Watch us, listen to us, whatever platform you might be viewing or listening on. I appreciate you. On the FM dial, thank you so much. Blowtorch, 100,000 watts. We've got streaming applications out the wazoo. You know what the wazoo is? You aware? Yeah, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I have a pretty
good idea.
Pretty good idea.
Well, they got streaming out of the wazoo.
Woo!
And that's a lot of streaming. You can find those platforms at 997WTN.com. And then, of course, there's the Talk TV side of things. Hello, Talk TV watchers. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. Find us there. And you can also chat with us via the F&M Bank chat line. Any platform that you choose, if you chat on that platform, it appears right there on the screen via the F&M Bank chat line, and we thank those guys for sponsoring that. Episode 378 in progress, discussing primarily the decision on the part of Chief Drake to decline $5 million in funding for Metro Nashville schools in order to see SROs in our elementary schools. Right now, you have SROs in middle school. You have SROs in high school. If they're effective there, why not so much in elementary schools? Well, the excuse making that's going on, it shakes one's head. It's ridiculous. And it needs to be called out. Chief Drake says We can't accept the grant because we don't believe that we can fill the positions by June 30th of 2024. That's a year from now, Chief. And based on my math, even if I cut out $1 million of administration, $1 million of administration, that's still above $50,000 in salary. Is that not a pretty good salary to start off as an SRO, as a trained Metro Nashville police officer? We can't attract people at a starting salary of $51,000 a year. And that, understand, that's taking the $5 million, giving you $1 million to administer all of this and to pay for all of this. I mean, maybe I'm the one that's being unreasonable. I would think our school children would merit this level of concern. Wendy says I'm looking sweaty on Super Talk TV. I was out in the heat earlier, Wendy, but I thought I'd cooled off. Sweaty? I don't think I'm sweaty. Wendy's giving me a complex. 615-737-9986. Joe wants to talk about the blame game. Hey, Joe, how are you?
Good. So, say 30, 40 years ago when I first started working, and I worked for a Metro, there might be 30 or 40 people looking for one job, and they'd have a class of maybe 30 people. And now, they put on a class that was way over 100. I don't remember how many they just put in service a week or two ago. And back to 30, 40 years ago, it was against the law to have a gun in your pocket. It was just flat ass against the law. And now everybody's got a gun, and everybody's got a camera, and they're taking pictures of you. So whatever you do, you're probably going to get fired, sued, or hung up by the you-know-what. So that's why the chief can't...
Wait, did you say, and I had a little trouble hearing you there for a second, but did you say that 40 years ago it was against the law to have a gun in your pocket?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you weren't supposed to have a gun. If you had a gun, you had to have somebody. You had to have some politics to get somebody to sign off on you could carry that gun. It was against the law.
Let me ask you this, Joe. 40 years ago, was it against the law to have a gun on your hip?
Yes, I'm sure it was. I mean, I don't. I mean,
are you? Are you sure? Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But let's say 50 years ago. Let's say 50 years ago.
Joe, the Second Amendment hasn't changed for 30, 40, 50, or 60 years ago.
Well, I got my gun. I got a gun permit to carry a gun, and it cost me about probably $150 plus a lot of time and effort trying to get the thing. So I had to get paid to get the thing fingerprinted and stuff like that. I mean, it was a real effort to get a permit to where I could walk around legally with a gun in my pocket.
Well, you're right on this point, Joe, that almost every state had some form of concealed carry permitting. And I don't know about Tennessee because I've only been here a short amount of time.
I mean,
sorry, Joe. I didn't mean to interrupt you during my sentence. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm usually the big talker on my street. So
you tell me when you're done, and I'll finish my statement.
The thing that I'm trying to get across to you, a long time ago, there were people that would just give anything to get on the fire department or get on the police department. But there'd be, like I said, 30 or 40 people for every job, and you had the chief would have a pick about who he hired. He didn't have to worry about getting people to fill out an application. People don't want to be a policeman. They just don't want to be a policeman because it's dangerous. Because everybody has a gun. Now, everybody has a gun, illegally or legally. I mean, I've got mine legally, and there's a lot of people.
Well, I understand the illegal piece on that, but let me ask you that, Joe. In a vacuum, what you just said, in a vacuum, don't ascribe any. What's wrong with having a gun?
Well,
what's wrong? What's wrong with you having a gun? You have a gun. What's wrong with you having a gun?
30, 40 years ago.
I'm not talking about 30 or 40 years. You keep bringing 30 or 40 years ago. And by the way, the Second Amendment was around 30 or 40 years ago. And I understand concealed carry laws were around 30 and 40 years ago because people believed that if you weren't carrying a gun on your hip, that you were up to something sneaky. That's why concealed carry laws were around.
But what I'm saying
And then
is
and by the way, Joe, let me just finish the statement. Then the sheriff's departments became addicted to the money that they got from the gun permits, and so they lobbied the politicians to keep around the concealed carry permits way beyond their usefulness, and I'm glad that we don't have them anymore. That's me.
Right.
But anyway.
So, well, the thing of it is back, 30 years ago, the cop had about a 90% chance of being the only one on the street with a gun.
Joe, where are you hanging out where everybody has a gun?
Well, you don't see how many murders there are in Nashville?
Yeah, I understand there's a lot of bad guys with guns. I'm asking you, you say everybody's got a gun. Where do you live?
I live in Nashville.
Everybody's got a gun? At the grocery store? I don't see anybody with a gun at the grocery store.
Well, I didn't say you're going to see them. You're not going to see mine. You might.
Well, then how do you know, Joe, that everybody's got one if you don't see them?
Because of the amount of people that are getting killed every day.
Well, everybody's not getting killed every day, Joe. I mean, I'm just talking here. I don't think everybody's got a gun. I think more people need to have weapons.
You're taking one side of something, and I'm presenting another side.
No. It's all good. I appreciate the conversation. So you believe there's too many? You believe there's too many guns out there? Should we restrict guns more?
No, I don't think there's too many guns. I mean, I don't want my gun rights. I don't care how many people got illegal guns. I got my guns. I mean, if I get it, I mean, they're not going to know I've got a gun until I pull it out and shoot somebody. But I mean, I'll be laying down.
Well, I want to find some common ground, Joe, and I think we've got it right here. Okay. I think that we need more good guys with guns, and I think that we have far too many. And I think we have far too many people. See, here's the problem that you're identifying, and I think you're right on this. 40 years ago, if people had an altercation, they would work out the altercation most often without resorting to pulling a gun and shooting somebody. Nowadays, if people have a disagreement or an altercation, everybody's shooting people.
Exactly.
Now, I agree with that. I agree.
Well, so that makes it very dangerous to be a cop because, if cops get shot at all, I mean, you can just bet if a policeman stops somebody to give them a ticket or there's a speeding or something like that, he's going to position himself in such a way that he can see whether he does have a gun or whether he's making a move for a gun because he don't want to get shot. I mean, being a cop is a dangerous thing today.
Well, there's no question that being a cop is more dangerous in 2023. My position on all of this is that in discussing the Metro Nashville school system and their decision not to have SROs in school, Joe, my point is that we have far too many people in positions of power like Adrian Battle, the head of the school system, that is insinuating that putting a cop in a school system is dangerous for the kids. Somehow, and I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
I agree with you. What you're saying about that, I think, is right. The teachers union is too strong. They're the biggest. I mean, that's just the way these kids are learning how to be Marxists and so forth like that is from the damn schools. I mean, the teachers are teaching them to be liberal and so forth.
Well, Joe, I've got to get to as many as I possibly can. I appreciate your point. I understand that times have changed over the past several years. Why is my delay button running now? Did he say a curse word that I missed?
He said the D word, and I wasn't going to risk it. I don't know what's allowed and what's not.
DAMM?
Yeah.
Oh,
is that allowed?
Well,
is that okay?
I say it. Certainly, but I've got a potty mouth.
Yeah.
You should probably clean me up.
Just a little bit.
Did I say it?
No.
Okay. Did Joe say it?
Joe said it.
I missed it.
See, I didn't
even hear it.
It was very.
I thought he might have said something worse. I was dealing with someone on the super text line that was saying that I was being an a-hole. They didn't say it that way to Joe, which I was tough on Joe, but Joe kept talking about everybody has a gun and as if that was a bad thing or necessary. The intent is what indicates whether possession of a gun is a bad or a good thing.
I think it's good to get structure and positions set before you have a conversation. I think that's what you're trying to do.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Joe, you and I are all good. I hope you feel that way. I feel that way too. And I hope you call again. I appreciate the difference of opinion, what difference of opinion that we had. I don't disagree with you that times were different 40 or 50 years ago. I don't disagree with you that obviously we had concealed carry laws. I don't know specifically what the concealed carry laws were in Tennessee 40 years ago because I was not here. I wasn't really cognizant of what concealed carry laws were anywhere 40 years ago because I was 9. So I don't know the answer to that question. I do know this, that there are far too many people that are willing to pull out their gun when a good discussion, even an argument, maybe even fisticuffs would suffice. Yet, unfortunately, people reach for that gun in a way that they did not do 40 years ago. Let's talk to Jay out in Franklin. Jay, thank you for the call. I appreciate your patience. Good afternoon.
Hey, thanks. I agree with you with a lot of the political stuff revolving around this issue. I worked for Metro. J is my first initial. I was at Metro 22 years. It's been a very long time. Sorry, biker.
No, it's all good.
It's been a very, very long time since Metro has been able to get 70 new officers. So there is a bottleneck, and it is a lot like mentioned. People do not want to sign up to be police anymore, and Metro has been way understaffed for a long time, so consequently the patrol officers are already overextended. Wait times for calls for service have lengthened. They don't get better. They're not getting better. They're having difficulty getting officers is part of the problem. Now, there's political reasons behind all of that, and a lot of it is just the climate and the changes that have been wrought with Black Lives Matter and the police are bad and all of that. Police can't as effectively police as they used to because they do want to keep their job after they're there because they've got time invested. But it is really hard and risky to police in the manner that used to be policed back in the 90s and early 2000s. It is a different ballpark, and they're facing great challenges and often very unwarranted extra scrutiny. They can't get officers to sign up for the job, and there is a bottleneck in the system. Is what I'm saying. Do
you ever watch? You're right, by the way, Jay. Everything you said, I agree with. Do you ever catch? Now you lived it, so I don't imagine that you have any interest in watching it on television. But there's a show that Dan Abrams puts on the weekends called On Patrol Live. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I have not seen it. I remember Cops back in the day.
This is like Cops on steroids. It's 8 separate departments around the country. There's one in South Carolina. They have one in Virginia. They have one in California. And they film on the weekends, and it is close to live. But I watched that show, and my basic takeaway watching that show when I do watch it is how difficult a police officer's job is in 2023. It is just, they are dealing with the absolute worst of the worst in so many different ways. And I can't imagine someone called to be a police officer nowadays. I'm in awe of modern police officers, all police officers, really.
Well, thank you. I would not trade the experience for anything, but I'm very thankful I am no longer there. But it was a very interesting time, and it was good, and I'm thankful to have been able to be there, but I'm also thankful that I am retired.
Well, I can understand that, and we by making, and thank you, Jay, for the call, by making insinuations, and this is my point regarding Adrian Battle. It's why I get so upset with Adrian Battle. It's why I'm so upset that John Drake seems to be going along with this. The insinuation that you don't want to place officers in elementary schools, and some of the excuse making going on. It was about money, or it's about perception, or it's about kids getting scared. Why are kids getting scared seeing cops? That is a culture problem that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, we're not going to get back to the point where we expect that our society, that our local community is going to respect the badge and call out bad officers when the time comes. No one is suggesting we don't do that. Well, I'm not. It's 121 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Some nasty weather coming in through the area. Do we have EIS going off? Is that what I'm told there? Yeah.
Yeah, we had it going off a little bit ago.
Was it a severe thunderstorm? Maybe?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We'll update you on that coming up in just a moment. More of your calls, plus a special visit at 1:35 with one of the individuals in the photo that caused Miranda Lambert to freak out. That's on the way. It's 122 on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Safe House. The Safe House is right in Nashville on 4th Avenue South. And Mark runs the Safe House. What is the Safe House? They're just the largest, the finest safe and vault store in the world, meaning they're the finest in the universe. I believe this. I've been down there. I've seen the selection. Mark told me one time, all told, he's got about 650 safes in stock and ready for delivery. And oh, by the way, he charges for his delivery. And you're thinking, well, Matt, some guys say that it's free. Those guys are lying to you. They're not going to deliver a safe of that size, a safe of that weight for free. They're embedding the cost into the cost of the safe. Come on now. Mark doesn't do that. He tells you what the safe costs. He gives you the incredible rebates. Right now, Browning rebates going on at Nashville Safe House. You need to check those out. Nashville Safe House is your one-stop shop for all things safes, for all brands. They've got Liberty. They've got Fort Knox. They've got the Browning. Go and see them today at Nashville Safe House. Online, NashvilleSafeHouse.com, or on the road, 4th Avenue South in Nashville. Tell them Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Defense Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm. They're located right here in Middle Tennessee. As a matter of fact, the owner of Defense Systems, Brink Fiddler, will be on our airwaves coming up Thursday to talk about the very issue we've been discussing today, and that is SROs in school systems and how effective they are. Defense Systems is incredibly effective at your workplace, at your school, at your place of business, at your church. Active shooter response training, workplace violence prevention. They do site surveys, security consultation, emergency and intruder action plans, rapid response medical, all customized for your facility. This works. Folks, the odds of you dealing with a workplace violence situation or an active shooter situation are very, very low. Minuscule, as a matter of fact. But here's the reality. Everyone who experiences one says, I never thought it would happen to us. Hope is not a plan. It is time to get trained with Defense Systems. If you're a decision maker in a business, call today. at 615-236-6484. 236-6484 or defensesystems.com. That's defensesystems.com. All right, so in a moment, we will shift gears to this Miranda Lambert Vegas story. But first, a few more of your telephone calls. Plus, I'll play you the clip in question. I think my man Mason has pulled that for us. So, Mason, line one has been holding for an hour and 42 minutes. Line one has been holding since Chris Hand's show.
Yeah. He was there. I think he got there at the, the 11:30.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And do we have any idea what line one wants to talk about?
My subtle guess is Obama. It's that little.
Is this Gary on line one?
Mac wrote it, not me.
It says S. Gary.
Yeah. Second Gary. I don't know.
No.
Hey, Gary.
Yes, sir. No, it was not Obama, and I appreciate you getting a hold of me.
Well, I mean, Gary, I didn't know what to do with you for a while, and you hung in there, and I thought, well, I guess if he's going to hang in there, I might as well talk to him. I mean, I appreciate you holding on.
Well, that's very gracious because I learned a lot in the interim. I just happened to be in my vehicle, pulled into the parking lot because I thought I might get in. But going back, I mean, everything's about the children, their safety and all, but going back to this whole thing about all that pornography stuff in the libraries and all that, I was just talking to a special forces operator buddy of mine, retired, and and I said, I'm trying to get on this program to tell them why Dearborn, Michigan, in a blue state, whatever city, Dearborn, shut down all this. There won't be none of this. Dearborn is an Islamic city.
Right.
It has even Sharia courts. It has all the police, everything. And the Christians get attacked, the Catholics get attacked, everybody about, when it comes to immorality, or we're this and that. But they won't say a word to the Muslims. And in Dearborn, yeah, absolutely, I'm proud of them. They shut it all down because you're not going to do it there. And those are people, I've trained jihadis. I'm telling you, don't touch their religion, or that's the quickest way to a graveyard. And I've trained a lot of them. Well, that's why Dearborn doesn't have this problem with pornography filth in their school system.
Have you ever been to Dearborn?
One time, many years ago.
How did you find Dearborn?
It was traveling years ago.
I found it to my one time there. I found it to be a crap hole.
Well, I don't know what it looks like now. My SF buddy, 45 minutes ago, he's been up there a number of times.
Yeah.
It is, I don't know, maybe it's a cross between Mogadishu and something else. But
well, I've never been to Mogadishu, but I hear that Mogadishu is a crap hole, too.
It is. The big deal about Dearborn is they never got messed with by the federal system, justice system, the governor's office, nothing. They cut it out. Yeah. You're not going to do it here. We're going to protect our children. That's it. And no one is going to go in there and tell those Muslims how it's going to go down.
Yeah, I don't know enough about I know that it's obviously there's a dominant Muslim population in Dearborn, Michigan, Gary. Thank you for the call. I don't know enough about the local politics to comment on anything else that you're saying outside of our Constitution ought to be sacrosanct in every single American community to protect religious rights, but also to protect the rights of the other citizens who are either non-religious or of a minority religion within that community. It's 1:31. We will talk to Adela, who was at a Miranda Lambert concert the other day, and there was a little viral news that came out about it. We'll tell you what it was next. I mentioned I went out to McGill's world-famous GlockStore just yesterday on my own time, laid down a time, right? So I got my training started with Dan at the GlockStore. I've told you there's two components to the Second Amendment and defending yourself. One is owning a firearm, and they sell them at the GlockStore, as you might expect. Two, it's training how to understand how to learn one, use one, rather. And so I, in the spirit of good-natured competition, laid down a time yesterday. My time with penalty, 9.5 seconds. I shot at 7 separate targets, 3 short, 4 longer, in succession, and it took me 9.5 seconds. It was 8.5, and then I had a second of penalties. I had a lot of quarter-second penalties. Anyway, bottom line is this. If you can beat my time, you win. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. You win a hat, you win some swag, and you win the honor of saying that you beat Matt Murphy in the Matt Murphy Challenge. You can go out now to Friday and lay down a time. I'd love to see as many people as possible beat my 9.5 second time. When I started 2 training sessions ago, this is why you've got to go to shoot270.com and get training. 2 training sessions ago, the first time I ran that course, the shooting course, it took me 30 seconds. I pared that down before the end of my first shooting session to about 15 seconds with penalty. And then in a second session of training with Dan Hughes, I got down to 9.5 seconds. How about that? I don't pretend to be the best at this. I just tell you that GlockStore is. GlockStore.com or shoot270.com for more information. I'll see you Friday. You don't want to call United Structural Systems. You don't want to call United Structural Systems. I know that. But when you need to call someone for your foundation needs, when you need to call someone for your waterproofing needs, who are you going to call? Well, I would expect that you want to call the best. And I'm telling you, with over 25,000 satisfied customers, Matt Murphy's saying that USS is the best in Middle Tennessee, Northern Alabama, and Southern Kentucky. They do waterproofing like nobody's business. They can take care of your foundation repair. They're only going to fix what they need to fix to solve the problem. But sadly, without dealing with it, that problem's not going to solve itself. So if you have foundation issues, and a lot of that happens in Middle Tennessee, we've got your solution. It's USS. We say call the best, call USS. Don't forget about the concrete leveling either, because that's a big seller right now with cracks in the concrete. Instead of ripping that out and completely pouring a new pour, why not level that concrete with the incredible Polylift system? Find out more when you make the call that so many have made to USS. Go to USSTN.com for United Structural Systems or 615-488-7855. 488-7855. All right. Let's shift our gears. We'll get back to SROs in our school systems maybe coming up in just a couple of minutes. I appreciate all of your participation on the phone lines and the super text line. So this video went viral, and being in Music City in Nashville, TN, we thought we would offer you a listen at what happened at a Miranda Lambert concert the other night. She has a residency in Las Vegas, and we're about to talk to one of the individuals who was involved in taking the selfie. Now, look, I could make the case that way too many people have obsessed over their phones at concerts, and that's all well and good. I think it's different, like filming song after song after song versus taking the time to get together with your group and memorializing something that has to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, seeing Miranda Lambert in residency in Las Vegas. So I'm going to play the quick clip, and then we're going to talk to one of the women who was involved in the taking of this photo and the reaction that she's gotten since then. So Miranda Lambert in Las Vegas got a little upset at folks not paying quite enough attention. Listen in.
These girls are worried about their selfie and not listening to the song. It's pissing me off a little bit.
All right, so that's she says she was ticked off because there's people taking selfies. And before I'll bring Adela in here. Adela joins us on the show. I think she's out on the West Coast, and she was at the concert, and she was one of the lovely ladies taking a photograph memorializing their experience, and she's getting a lot of attention based on that reaction. Adela, thank you so much for coming on the Matt Murphy Show. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So you're a fan of Miranda Lambert, obviously. Tell us about the experience. Tell us about the trip. It looked like you and your girlfriends were kind of on a once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
Well, most of us live here in Las Vegas, and I was fortunate enough to be able to find tickets, which are first row VIP bench right in the center. So I invited 5 of my girlfriends to come with me. And we got to the concert. We were so happy to be there. We were trying to take a group picture of the 6 of us before the concert started, but the light was terrible in the theater, and we just couldn't get a picture without awkward shades on our faces. So we thought, the satellite stage is so close to us. At some point, Miranda Lambert will get on that satellite stage, and we can take a group picture with Miranda Lambert in the background. So obviously, at some point, Miranda Lambert gets on the satellite stage, and we were like, oh, this is the time to take our group picture. We asked a lady to take our picture. The lady snapped a few pictures, and then she told us to separate our group into 2 so Miranda Lambert could be seen. She took a couple more pictures, and as we are turning to sit back down on our bench, we were realizing the concert is stopping. And then as I was turning and sitting down, I realized that it's stopping because of me and my other friends.
Oh, no. Were you mortified at that point? I mean, how did you guys react?
The first couple of moments, I felt embarrassed, especially when Miranda Lambert pointed at us and she said, sit down. I had a flashback being back in school, and the teacher is holding us, telling us to sit down. And especially she called us girls taking selfies. There was a bit of an intent to make us look like these young, immature girls taking vain selfies, but we are grown women. I'm 43. Some of the other ladies were well into their 60s. So we are called out in front of everybody. It felt awful the first few moments.
Well, you obviously paid a lot for your tickets. I'm sure everyone paid a good amount for their tickets, but none more than you if you're that close to the stage. Was there ever any announcement? I mean, obviously you had your phones, so I imagine a lot of people were taking photos at the event. Am I right?
Everybody was taking pictures, selfies, videos. Everybody was so excited to be there. And it was a great concert up until the point that it stopped. The energy was amazing. Everybody was having a great time. And no, there's no restrictions in the theater on phone use. There are other artists, like I went to the Bruno Mars concert, and he makes everybody lock their phones in a pouch.
Yep.
He knows he doesn't like phones.
Right.
There's comedy shows where there's an announcement before the show starts and says no cell phone use, and then everybody knows, put your phones away. At this particular concert, there's no restrictions on who can use their phones and when.
Well, that's my thing, Adela, is that it's not like you guys were disturbed. I don't believe. Do you feel like you disturbed anyone around you at any point, or was it just Miranda? I mean, it didn't seem like you were disturbing anybody around you.
I don't think so. We didn't get any ugly looks from anybody around us, and for the last couple of days, I got some messages from people sitting around us, and they said, "Oh, I was there. This is so unfair. It's happening to you. You didn't distract from anything."
What has this has gone viral, obviously, not because of anything you did, but because of how Miranda reacted to it. Let me ask it this way first. Does this change your attitude about Miranda Lambert at all? I mean, obviously you're a big fan if you're paying to see her in Las Vegas in her residency. Are you still cool with Miranda? Were you surprised at the way that she reacted?
Yes, I was surprised because my husband and I go to a lot of concerts here in Las Vegas. We live here, and I've never seen anything like that happen to anybody in attendance. And I mean, I do have Miranda Lambert songs on my playlist. I'm going to continue to listen to them and probably just laugh. But to actually spend my money to go to one of her concerts, no, because I'll be afraid to take a picture.
Did it surprise you? I don't know if you've seen some of the videos of this. Other people were taking videos as this happened, and there's one out there where a few people leave. I mean, they left the concert, and one of the women said, "You don't treat your fans like that." She was very much in your corner. Are a lot of people in your corner on this? Are you getting some positive response and surprised that Miranda reacted this way?
99.99% of the messages I received are from people being very disappointed by Miranda Lambert's reaction. And two of my friends got up and walked out as well. Two of my other friends, they were more polite. They said they're going to the ladies' room. And then me and one other friend, we stayed until the end. I was determined to have a good time. The concert was just about over. It was not the same, though. We did our best to have a good time after the incident. But I'm not going back to another one of her concerts.
Well, I just wanted to get your perspective on it, and I so appreciate you coming on our show today to talk to us about it. And I'm of the position, too, that you said it, Adela, that if a performer feels that strongly about phone use during their concerts, there are plenty of ways to prevent you from having access to your phone. Those lockable bags are amazing. I've used them at comedy shows here in Nashville. I've seen that other performers use them as well, where you keep your phone. You just have to put it in a bag. That bag locks. It's a magnetic locking system. And then at the end of the concert, it unlocks. And I think if Miranda feels that strongly about it, maybe she should go to something like that, you know?
I agree, because I've learned afterwards this has happened to before, where she didn't like someone in the audience taking pictures or videos. So I'm not the first person.
Well, we've got your back, Adela. You pay hard-earned money to go see these shows. These performers are very, very well paid. I don't want to ask you how much your tickets cost, because I think that's a personal thing, but I imagine they weren't cheap, right?
I bought them back in December, so I don't remember, but also because I invited my friends to come with me. It's just between me and American Express.
But, I mean, obviously, you're spending a good amount of money to go to the show, and I would expect you'd want to take a picture with your friend. So we got your back out in Nashville, and I appreciate you calling us from Las Vegas and giving us your perspective. I know you've had a lot of interviews. I imagine there's been a lot of reaction to this, hasn't there?
Yes, yes, there's been a lot of interviews. My husband is asking, though, what's the point?
Well, I mean, you don't want, I mean, what's your message? If you could send a message to Miranda, if you could say something directly to Miranda about how she reacted and what you were doing there, what would you say to Miranda Lambert?
Well, since this happened before where she was bothered by someone in the audience taking pictures or videos, I believe she just needs to decide she's okay with people using phones or she's not okay and lock them away. Or if it's just particular songs, she can say, I'm about to start a very special song to me. I want us all to put our phones away and just enjoy this song. And the audience will appreciate that because nobody's going to a concert with the intent to upset the performer.
You know, I didn't think about that, Adela, but that's a really excellent point. That even if you don't mind people using their phones with video or taking photos, if you want a particular moment to be tender and special and you want some special attention, all you have to do is say so. Say, hey, let's put our phones away. Let's listen to this song. This song means so much to me, and I hope it means as much to you. And I think the vast majority of I'm certain you would, Adela, would have done that.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, nobody goes to a concert to upset the performer. We want to be respectful towards them. So that was not the intent.
Well, now you get to say, I mean, not many people get to say this, Adela, but you get to say, and I'm just going to use the words that she used, that you pissed Miranda Lambert off.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Well, look, thanks for being a good sport about it. And many concerts to go. Happy concert going to you out in Las Vegas. And come see us in Nashville sometime.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. There's Adela, who was a part of the group, bought the tickets, had her girlfriends there. Look we're obsessed with our phones. There's no question. I know that I'm obsessed. The most addictive thing in my life right now is my cell phone. And I use it for work. And that's how and why I justify it. But we are absolutely addicted to our phones. Folks, if Miranda Lambert feels that strongly about it, I mean, she comes off as a self-entitled, narcissistic blankety blank. I mean, I didn't even think about that part. You don't have to do 100% of one or 100% of the other. If you don't mind people taking photos during the busy numbers, during the upbeat numbers, during the fast-paced stuff, do it. But then if you want, all right, everybody, I want you to, I mean, imagine the power. Everyone, I want you to put your cell phones down for just a moment. I want us to be in the moment together for this song. Just us in this room. So put those phones down and let me sing this one to you. Everybody would do it. They want to be a part of it. Or say no phones. How about that? You know who gets in a Dave Chappelle show with a phone? Nobody. I've been to Zany's 3 times since I've been to Nashville. Love a good comedy show. Went out to see my man Dusty Slay, who used to be my best bud and come on my show. He won't do it anymore. Somebody called Dusty out, by the way. Says he's too busy with his new baby. Whatever. But you go to a show at Zany's, they give you a little, you guys have seen these, right? Put your phone in a sleeve, the thing locks, it's locked up until the end. At the end, they unlock it. So you never have non-possession of your phone, but they have the ability to have a phone-free show. Miranda Lambert wants that. She has it. 151 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is the Tennessee Men's Clinic that I want to talk to you about for just a moment. Gentlemen, I want to talk specifically to you. Well, I say that, although a lot of you ladies remind me that you need to know that Tennessee Men's Clinic is out there to get your guy help. I mean, ladies, it might be up to you. If you've noticed a little bit of sluggishness in your man, maybe not the energy to do the yard work, not the energy to go to the gym. Maybe he doesn't have the vitality that he used to, and you don't know why, and he's kind of ignoring it. Maybe, just maybe, and I know this is a delicate subject, but maybe, just maybe, we're talking about some bedroom activities, right? Well, if that's the case, no shame in that game because a lot of men go through this, and you can solve it a lot of different ways. But Tennessee Men's Clinic believes that they know the causal factor, and they can help. All it takes is a visit with you in the office, a little blood work, and they're off to the races, helping you get back to that energy that you want and that you've had. Go with Tennessee Men's Clinic today. 2 locations to serve, Midtown in Nashville and Cool Springs, Franklin. I encourage you to give them a call and schedule an appointment at the nearest location today, 615-208-9090, 208-9090, or TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. Now, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this: people buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying, and what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this: what if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does, this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing, and I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler, Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
A lot of mixed reaction here in Nashville regarding the Miranda Lambert story. I love it. Absolutely love it. Here's my thing. I see both sides of this. I don't normally say that about subjects like this, but look, I can understand why it would annoy a performer that everyone has their nose in their phone instead of paying attention to the show. We obsess too much over our phones. I'm not immune to that. We spend way too much time on our phones when we should be watching the show in front of us or watching our live experience as we experience it. We allow our phones to get in our own ways.
Does it upset you when I'm on my phone while you're doing your show?
Who are you again? What do you?
I'm just that part-time guy.
What do you do here?
I mop the floors.
It does not. Although I don't see you on your phone that much.
I'm not on it that much.
Now, I will say,
then again,
I'll say this: if Miranda's bass player was on their cell phone, then it's
a little bit different.
I think maybe she's got a beef. Hey, I need a bass line here. We got a concert to do. But guess who's on their phones while they listen to this show? Half the audience. I don't mind. Hell, I'm on my phone half the time I'm doing this show.
It's a mainly auditory kind of show.
So a lot of you are offering a little bit of support for Miranda. Many of you are like, the woman's kind of self-entitled, yada, yada, yada. Some are saying just an observation. If several flashes went off in Miranda's eyes, being that close to stage, it would be very distracting while she's trying to work. I agree with that. Wendy says, I just took a selfie of me watching Cousin Matt on Super Talk TV. I want that selfie, Wendy. Also, Wendy offers, well, that settles it. Miranda Lambert hates Germans. Was that a German accent that Adela had? I didn't think it was German. I don't know.
I don't think so either, but I'm not sure.
Experience life. But if you feel that strongly about people popping off photos during your show, you got to ban the phones.
Yeah, put some kind of rule in place.
You got to put a rule in place. Plenty of artists do it. Okay, one more hour to go. We've plenty to discuss, including the mayor's race. There's one less candidate in the race, and some of you are blaming me for him leaving yesterday afternoon. We'll tell you what's up in just a moment.
It is 2 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey with your top stories right now. 93 degrees, mostly cloudy right now in Nashville. The chance for some storms later on here in the mid-state. Those Canadian wildfires still having somewhat of effect on the air quality here in Middle Tennessee right now at that moderate or yellow category. Complete forecast just a few minutes away. Starting here in Tennessee, a Shelbyville mother is charged with first-degree criminal homicide and attempted criminal homicide. Police say Patricia Sylvester confessed to killing her 12-year-old son, Esteban, after the boy's father found him unresponsible around 10 o'clock last night.
We believe the homicide occurred much earlier in the day yesterday, and then there were attempts to, conceal some things and also for her to flee the residence. She did that with the 4-year-old. And then ultimately returned to the vicinity of the residence this morning. We had officers on scene who spotted her and brought her into the police department for questioning.
The 4-year-old who was taken to the hospital for evaluation. Here's right now in Tennessee. Multiple Tennessee Congress members have filed a joint statement in regards to the illegal immigration status of Camila Hurtado Campos, the Franklin soccer coach who's accused of raping and drugging children for over 20 years. And in that time, he had other run-ins with the law, including 3 driving without a license charges. And the Department of Human Services is supposed to respond to questions in this statement, including, was DHS aware that Camilo Campos was in the country illegally? And if so, when did the department become aware of Campos's immigration status? And if not, why was the department unaware of Campos's immigration status? Now going over to the nation's capital, State Department spokesman Matthew Miller confirming during a briefing today that American is believed to be in custody in North Korea after crossing its border.
It was a U.S. service member who willfully and without authorization crossed into North Korea. The Department of Defense is, of course, in the lead because it's a member of their personnel, and we are in touch with them to offer whatever assistance may be appropriate.
And right now, ABC News is saying that the soldier is 23-year-old Army Private Travis King. And airlines are warning travelers about a new scam targeting people whose flights are canceled. It happens when passengers try to Google their airline's customer service number. Trevor Alt is in New York with more.
Shmuley Evers was in a jam Sunday at New York's JFK airport. With his Delta flight to Florida canceled and a line of passengers already at the help desk, he Googled a number for Delta customer service, called what he says was listed, and got an automated prompt.
There was like two options, like, is this for this airline, that airline? I'm like, oh, that's weird.
He says the call dropped, and then a different number called him back, asking for his name and flight confirmation number, but then he claims they tried several times to get his payment information, and he noticed too many red flags.
And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Many of us have a budget for charitable giving. And if you have a budget and if you've not spent that budget so far this year, I have an opportunity and I have a suggestion. It's with the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. Charlie is gone, but the project lives on through David Corlew and some of the fine, fine folks who work at the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. They're carrying on Charlie's legacy and his memory. They're doing so by creating a mission that is focused, singularly focused, on helping heroes and veterans, but I repeat myself, reintegrate from service to civilian life. And oftentimes that is a difficult reintegration, especially if those servicemen and women have spent a lot of years in foreign places, bad places, doing the work of the American people. If you believe in our veterans, if you believe in our United States military, as Charlie did, as David does, I encourage you to give to the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. They truly do vet these programs so we do not have to. Mark your calendars for September 13th. It's a big annual event coming up in Nashville. We want you to be a part of that and give as you can. Go to the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.com. Again, the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.com. All right, I have to start the third hour of the show with a correction. I have made an error. I just made it. Thank you very much. 206, good afternoon. Welcome in. I just was talking to you about the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, and I've done that advertisement for 1,000 times, and I love it. I love the program. I love the project, and I gave you the wrong web address. Yeah, let's scratch. Thank you, Mason. Man, oh, man. Mac Morey. He's coming after you, bro, with the producing skills.
That was great. Great record scratch.
I love that record scratch. That's good stuff.
I'm trying.
Woo.
I want to be here more often. Come on.
Oh, I just got the chills. Somewhere, Bell K just got the chills.
Guess who texted me? You know when I messed up that little news thing earlier?
Uh-huh.
Not even 2 minutes later.
Oh, gave you a little text?
He was like, good catch up.
Yeah, uh-huh. Is he going to text you to say, hey, way to go, good record stretch, way to pay attention?
We'll see what happens.
Probably not. One way or the other.
I'll probably say it could be better.
It is the Charlie Daniels JourneyHomeProject.org, O-R-G. They are a nonprofit organization, so they have the .org behind their name. So I apologize for that to David and to the group over at Charlie. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. I was trying to think on my own and not just read the website. The Charlie Daniels JourneyHomeProject.org. So Donald Trump is the target of a special counsel January 6th criminal probe, according to Donald Trump. I want to read you this statement, and I want you to think about how Stalin-esque this truly is. Jack Smith has already taken one crack at the apple to eliminate Joe Biden's chief political rival in the next election cycle in 2024. And now he's taking another bite at the apple. In a statement from Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States of America, he says this: "Wow. On Sunday night, while I was with family, having just arrived from the Turning Point event in Florida," hey, our own Chris Hand was at the Turning Point event, where I won the straw poll against all other Republican candidates with 85.7%, with all polls showing me leading in the Republican primary by very substantial numbers, almost everyone predicting that I will be the Republican nominee for president. And as I am leading Democrat Joe Biden in the polls by a lot, horrifying news for our country was given to me by my attorneys. Deranged Jack Smith, the prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ, sent a letter, again, it was Sunday night, stating that I'm a target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment. So now Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland, who I turned down for the United States Supreme Court in retrospect based on his corrupt and unethical actions, a very wise decision, together with Joe Biden's Department of Injustice, have effectively issued a third indictment and arrest of Joe Biden's number one political opponent, who is largely dominating him in the race for presidency. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before, or even close. They illegally spied on my campaign. Fact check, true. Attacked me with a totally fake dossier. Fact check, true. That was funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC. Fact check, true. Impeached me twice. I won. Fact check, true. They failed on the Mueller witch hunt. No collusion. Fact checked, true. Fact check, true. Oh, and I don't have the last part of this. I don't have the last part. Well, they will not win, and God bless the United States of America and all that. So Donald Trump is announcing that he is potentially a target of the January 6th probe. By any political analysis, by any legal or criminal analysis, this is going absolutely nowhere. And you know what? The most disgusting aspect of this is watching people like Andrew McCabe and John Brennan and James Clapper, individuals that flaunted the law. Andrew McCabe is a scumbag who did not do the work. He is a former deputy director of the FBI and allowed his partisan politics to get in the way of doing the work of the American people. And yet here he is. I'm looking up on monitor number 2, hashtag never CNN. Hashtag never CNN. What a garbage network. Don't watch this network. I'll watch so you don't have to. I'll take the hits for you. It's an occupational hazard for me. Garbage network full of garbage people. Hashtag never CNN. And it's all they've been reporting all day long is the fact that he is expected to be a target of the special counsel's probe. They're taking another crack at this apple? Based on the fact that I assume they don't believe that they will have any finality by the time the election rolls around. So the special counsel is probing whether or not there was a pressure campaign on Mike Pence, whether or not there was a pressure campaign on the electors, whatever. Donald J. Trump is the chief political adversary of Joe Biden. And in third world banana republic countries, we engage in this type of nonsensical behavior. I do not believe it will work. I do believe that it will backlash. I do believe that Donald Trump will be the nominee, the Republican nominee for president of the United States. And I believe that it will take a house cleaning of monumental proportions to get the Department of Justice back to a place where it's doing its work for the American people equitably and without political or partisan favor. It is not just a shame, but it is an insult to the men and women that fight for our freedom that we would see this. The American people will make this determination with their votes. And if you want to prosecute somebody on some trumped-up charges after that, ask yourself this question as I channel my inner Mark Levin. If you don't believe, you dope, if you don't believe that this is political in nature, ask yourself if you believe that Jack Smith would be pursuing these charges if Donald Trump wasn't running for president. You don't have to answer me. Just answer honestly. Now, I understand that it is possible. 1243 points this out on the super text line, and you're right. They might be doing this because they believe that it helps him in the nomination process. Because the Biden people believe the only candidate they can beat is Donald Trump. You might be right. But it doesn't make these actions any less wrong. Do you believe that Donald Trump would have been indicted by Jack Smith already? Do you believe that there is a plan to indict him again if he's not running for president of the United States? I think you know the answer. I think we all know the answer. All right, our attention on the mayor's race in Nashville. I had been intending on giving Jim Gingrich the business over a political ad that I believe is untruthful, and I believe that Jim Gingrich knew very well it was untruthful. Here's the political ad, which will go down in the annals of history in the city of Nashville as one that just didn't cut the mustard.
I'm Jim Gingrich, and this is my dad. He's 91 years old, and he taught me how to drive a hard bargain. Like when he paid me 3 cents to do a load of laundry. Dad's a PowerPoint whiz, and he wanted to help me make the case against spending over $100 million on a NASCAR racetrack. Just like the stadium deal, it's bad for Nashville. As mayor, I would use money like that to build affordable housing, hire more police, and invest in our schools. Anything more, Dad?
Okay, so at the end of the ad, the ad is kind of cute. With a better candidate, I don't think it's a poorly done ad. Have you seen the ad?
I have not, no.
Okay, so you see Jim, he's talking about his dad. His dad's setting up a little PowerPoint, a slideshow, and you got Dad. He's got he's 91 years old, but he's spry. He's running around. He's got an electric cord. He's plugging in the thing. He's getting it ready. He's getting the screen ready. And then he's showing you little PowerPoints of the racetrack and $100 million on the racetrack and all of that. And then at the end, he says, anything else, Dad? And he puts up a slide that says, he's not related to Newt Gingrich. Ha, ha, ha. You like a political ad with a good punchline involved. Here's I said yesterday that I think Jim Gingrich is lying, and that would make him a liar. Here's the portion that I believe he knows he's lying about.
On a NASCAR racetrack. Just like the stadium deal, it's bad for Nashville. As mayor, I would use money like that to build affordable housing, hire more police, and invest in our schools. Invest in our schools.
Hire more police, affordable housing, and invest in our schools with money like is going to the racetrack. Here's where I take exception. Now, you should know this. I'm a fan of the renovation of the racetrack. I believe it is an absolute no-brainer. Racetrack's been here since 1904. It is a symbol of Nashville and has been for that length of time. It is in the Metro Charter that property is used for racing, for a fair, and for a flea market. That was like in the 1911 charter or something along those lines. It has been within the fabric of this community for a long, long time. Now, whether you want NASCAR to come back is up to you. But the bottom line is, without an infusion of money into that racetrack will cease to exist. And right now, there's a proposal on the table that Bristol Motor Speedway comes in, they take over management of the racetrack, that they use a revenue bond. So the city would issue a revenue bond of $100 million, I think that's right. They would spend that money on the track, and then money made at the track for future events will go back to pay that revenue bond off. Now, I don't know. Jim Gingrich is a business owner. It's my understanding that Jim Gingrich, who is now out of the race for mayor, received a considerable amount of tax abatement to bring his company to this city. What I heard was he got a $112 million sweetheart tax abatement deal. Well, that's nice, Jim. That's money that could have gone to police officers. That's money that could have gone for affordable housing. That's money that could have gone to our children and their schools. But I'm gonna share it with you one more time, not to put too much of a point on it. But you have to understand what a revenue bond is. And Jim Gingrich is lying to stupid people on his commercial because he's saying, oh, we shouldn't spend money on a racetrack. We should spend money on this, that, and the other. The revenue bond is based on revenues that are generated at the facility, Jim. You know that. You also know that without that facility, the revenue doesn't exist. And if the revenue doesn't exist, tell me how you're going to spend that money on cops or on affordable housing. The answer is you won't. The money won't exist, and you know it. You know it's a revenue bond. You put it in your commercial anyway. You lied to the people of Nashville, and I don't know if that's why you quit the race or not. And it's not personal to say I'm glad that you decided to get out of the race if that's how you're going to treat the people of Nashville, like they're stupid. One more time.
Help me make the case against spending over $100 million on a NASCAR racetrack.
Revenue bond, which is not traditional tax dollar spending.
Just like the stadium deal, it's bad for Nashville. As mayor, I would use money like that to build affordable housing, hire more police, and invest in our schools.
You cannot use money on a revenue bond to do those things because that revenue bond would not exist, nor the money generated from the bond would not exist without the facility that it serves. And that facility will go out of business within 3 years without this renovation project. You can disagree with the renovation of the track. You can say it's time for the track to go away. That is, I suppose, a valid position. I would adamantly disagree with you on that. But it's certainly a valid place to be. What Jim Gingrich was doing was lying to the people of Nashville. And for that reason, I'm glad that he's out of the race. Now, he's out of the race, and we don't really know why. We do know that he put some $2 million of his money into the race. He does say, it's with deep gratitude to the city of Nashville and a heavy heart that I've made the decision to suspend my campaign for mayor. After deciding what was best for my family, how to honor my campaign team, respect every single supporter we've gained, and the consultation with the general data available, we've decided to put the best interest of the Nashvillians first and allow voters to rally behind another candidate. I entered this race on a mission to change the trajectory of our city, how it manages its finances, to generate a conversation about what type of leadership our city deserves. To every single person who gave a penny of their hard-earned money or a second of their precious time, thank you for believing in a better Nashville. Yada, yada, yada. He thanks his campaign manager, his field director, the rest of his amazing team. Just as the people of Nashville overwhelmingly opposed providing the largest public subsidy in history to build a new NFL stadium, voters equally opposed the building of a 30,000-seat racetrack facility on the current Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway site with no protection for the taxpayers. We must have a leader, blah, blah, blah. So he has doubled down on his opposition to the racetrack. Jim, I'm happy to talk to you anytime you're ready, but I'm also happy that you're out of the race. More in a moment on your calls. If you have any thoughts on Jim Gingrich being out of the race, would love to hear from you. I got polled by someone called Dynata, D-Y-N-A-T-A. I'll tell you what that poll was all about in a moment. It's 2:21 on Super Talk. Here's something good for Nashville. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. It's right in downtown Nashville, and it's coming up in just a couple of short weeks, August 4th through the 6th in downtown Nashville. The streets are going to come alive. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is the IndyCar event that races through the streets of downtown Nashville. Cars have been going over 200 miles an hour in past races, over places like the Korean War Veterans Memorial Bridge into downtown by Nissan Stadium. It's so cool. New for 2023, Saturday night racing, a family fun zone, an early 11:30 start for Sunday. A fan favorite returns with the high-flying stadium super trucks. Tons and tons of racing capped off on Sunday with the NTT IndyCar Series racing through the streets of Nashville. Open-wheel racing through downtown Nashville. Can you get any better than that? The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Get your 3-day tickets or your 1-day ticket today. Get amped at MusicCityGP.com. That's MusicCityGP.com for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy here. Let's talk about your dollar and how you spend it. I hope that you spend it wisely. I know that many of us have become, over the years, more and more concerned about where our money goes once we spend it on something. And with it, when it comes to your cell phone company, some of you might feel like you're locked in with the big three and you can't adjust your spending in a different way. And I'm here to tell you that's not the truth. Big mobile companies have become woke. It is sad but true. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And I encourage you to encourage businesses like this. Now, you wouldn't do so if you felt like you would get less service. You wouldn't do so if you felt like that you couldn't keep your number. You wouldn't do so if you couldn't keep your phone. Well, you can keep your number, keep your phone. You get the same incredible network of services. They have nationwide coverage on all three major networks, so you get the best possible service in your area, and you get it without the woke politics. That is spending your money wisely and encouraging businesses to kind of reverse course on their attack on our freedoms of speech, religion, and the sanctity of life. Get free activation with the offer code Murphy, M-U-R-P-H-Y. That's Murphy. Go to patriotmobile.com/Murphy or call 878-PATRIOT. 878-PATRIOT. Make the switch today that so many others are making to Patriot Mobile.
A mother in Tennessee admits to killing her 12-year-old boy. Former President Trump facing another indictment, and a U.S. soldier being held in North Korea. Those stories and more coming up 30 minutes after the hour of 2 o'clock right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Mac Morey. It is 2:27 now. Nasty weather moving through the area. I was pulling up a weather map just to be able to give you the latest. I know that there were some thunderstorm warnings earlier. I'm getting here comes the radar coming. 615-737-9986. By the way, 615-737-WWTN. If you'd like to be a part of the show, I mentioned Donald Trump announced that he's got a letter, and it says he's a target of a probe, which has given CNN all the programming that they want for the last 5 hours. It's an absolute embarrassment that they drop everything else that's going on. Things like, I don't know, the fact that we have an American soldier in North Korean custody, and there's some questions as to how he got there. Defection, some say. Some are questioning whether or not that's the case. All right, I got my radar up. So there's a nasty bit of weather that is descending upon Clarksville to our north. It's a bow, and it bows from Princeton, Hopkinsville in Kentucky, and bows down through Paris right now and all the way back to Dyersburg. Just a big reverse C.
We also earlier got an alert for severe thunderstorm warning for Dixon and Montgomery as well. Just probably here for the next 30 minutes is when the heaviest part of it should be coming through. But just as a heads up for everybody watching.
Well, there you go. So Dixon and I was just looking at there's past. Yeah, it's on the way. So it's coming. And if you're in town for SEC Media Days or otherwise touring, or you're leaving work, might be a little tricky in the next couple of hours. So be aware of that, and we'll keep you updated from the newsroom, from the Weather Center, and all of the various locations. Traffic Center as well with Jack Womack on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So people have a misguided understanding of what is a nanny state solution. I'm being told that I am suggesting a nanny state solution for the Miranda Lambert deal. What I am saying is, it's your show. You set up the rules of your show. If you allow people to have phones in your show, then you should expect that some of those people are going to use them. And some people are rude. The solution would be to, I don't know, ban the phones. These people weren't ruining anything for the people around them. And I get it. I understand why you would get frustrated for, somebody that's just looking through their cell phone screen constantly. But I think what are you talking about, nanny state solutions? Nobody's suggesting that the government should have anything to do with this. Ned. This is Ned under my skin with his nonsense. 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7. You know what? I'm in a mood today. Am I in a mood today? Have you noticed, Mason, that I'm a little on edge?
A little bit of a ranty kind of mood.
You know what I think it is?
What's it?
I walked all the way to the Grand Hyatt and had to walk back.
In blue jeans.
Well, black jeans, but they're jeans.
Jeans nonetheless.
You mentioned that at the end of the crossover with Chris Hand. You've mentioned this now. How many times have you complained about the walk, or
the first hour?
Okay,
the entire hour.
Are you up from your nap now? Is that what? Are you up from the nap? Is that what you're doing? I've complained about the walk. Is it 3 times now, Mason?
In total.
Is it
the crossover?
Excuse me, Mac. Excuse me. I just need to talk to Mason for a second.
Okay.
It's the one in the Chris Hand,
and then one back there real quick.
So one in the Chris Hand, and then one at the beginning, and then now.
Yeah.
So that's 3. All right, you and I are good. We're 3. We're good.
We're good.
We're good on 3. Okay, very good. Okay.
It was 20 minutes in the first one or the second one there. But.
Oh, sure. He didn't have to stop. Okay, very good. Okay, Mac.
But 3.
Mac.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Mac. We have an answer.
Still sleepy. What's up?
3.
Okay, 3. Well, you got 29 more minutes to go.
I bet you I can slip in another 6 complaints.
Easy.
At least 6 complaints. And separate them with other stories. Right now, I'm going to separate myself from the microphone and hand off to Mac Moore, and he's going to do the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And now it's 2:32. I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. 93 degrees, and you heard Mason and Matt be talking about those weather watches. Right now, severe thunderstorm warning in effect in Dixon and Montgomery counties until 2:45, and then a thunderstorm watch is in effect for all of Middle Tennessee until 8 p.m. tonight. Those storms coming from the northwest right now. hitting Clarksville as we speak. Full weather forecast coming up in just a couple of minutes. Starting here in Tennessee, Shelbyville police say a mother has admitted to killing a 12-year-old boy found unresponsive in their home late last night.
Without going into the details of this very active investigation, I can tell you that Patricia has admitted to the intentional killing of Esteban and the attempted murder of 4-year-old Raphael.
Patricia Sylvester and her 4-year-old son, Raphael, had been the subjects of a TBI-issued endangered child alert right after the father found 12-year-old Esteban Sylvester unresponsive. Both returned shortly after the alert went out, and the 4-year-old was taken to the hospital for evaluation. In the nation's capital, top Republicans on Capitol Hill are standing by former President Trump amid news he could imminently face another federal indictment. Elizabeth Schulze has more.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy decried a, quote, weaponized federal government after sources told ABC News former President Trump received a target letter from special counsel Jack Smith, indicating Trump could be indicted as part of the Justice Department's investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise echoed in his support of the former president.
Over and over again, you see different attacks by the Biden administration against President Trump.
Some Republicans say Trump's legal woes are boosting his poll numbers.
Some more global news. A U.S. soldier is being held in North Korea after crossing the border from South Korea. The Pentagon says it was deliberate and without authorization during a joint security area orientation tour. The soldier, identified as Travis King, was to depart South Korea for disciplinary reasons, but they turned around at the airport and joined a border tour. And that is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Craft Body Scan approached me about letting you know that they have come to Nashville. They have locations all across the Southeast, and CT scan is becoming more readily available, not just in Nashville, but around the country, and for good reason. You want to know what's going on in your body before your body might present symptoms. You want that peace of mind. And with a Craft Body Scan, I know because I've experienced it, you walk away with the knowledge of what's happening inside of your body. You don't have to worry about checking under the hood to make sure that everything's A-OK. You know after the body scan. Look, you check your vehicle on a regular basis to make sure that everything's running as it should. You need to check your body to make sure that everything's going as it should, because oftentimes some of these issues crop up, and afterwards it's too late. Once you have symptoms, I should say, it's too late. So private health consultation, the scan itself takes about 5 to 8 minutes, and $149 will get you and your spouse or significant other in with you to get a heart and lung scan. Heart and lung scan for just $149. That's so inexpensive. CraftBodyScan.com. Spell craft with a C, bodyscan.com, or 615-436-1000. 615-436-1000. All right, so just touching on the weather for just a moment on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll get back to your calls in the Super Text line. If you would like to be a part of the show, by all means, 615-737-9986. As a matter of fact, I'll lean on you, some of you amateur meteorologists. If you're out to the west of the city and you want to let us know what's going on out there, apparently it's getting kind of wild, and it's expected to get wild in downtown in the next hour or so. The expectation is there is 70-mile-an-hour plus winds associated with this storm, severe thunderstorms, in some cases, hail, large amounts of hail, quarter-sized or whatnot. It's coming on Clarksville right now. We've got listeners up in Clarksville that are letting us know that they are about to get popped. Oak Grove across the state line up in Kentucky. It's along a line. Let me just put on my amateur meteorologist hat here for a moment. You're about to see it at Oak Grove. You're about to see it in Clarksville. Then if you descend upon a line, just imagine a reverse C. That's kind of how it looks. And the bow of the C is right at Clarksville. So going back, it's along highway, what is that, 79? Yeah, it's 79. Going back to Paris, through communities like Greenfield or Rutherford. Dyersburg might be familiar to you. That's over 155 way. That's up. Is Dyersburg? Yeah, it's in Tennessee. And then and it kind of ends in Dyersburg. So from Dyersburg, it bows all the way up to Clarksville. And this same system goes through Kentucky. So it's going to pop us. It's going to center Nashville here in the next few minutes. There's a severe thunderstorm watch for most of Middle Tennessee, to include the usual suspects: Sumner, Williamson, Wilson, of course, Davidson, Dixon, Grundy, Hickman, Houston, Humphreys, Murray, Montgomery, and on it goes. So it includes just about every community within the sound of our voice.
Yeah, I got another alert here on our ES alert for Cheatham County, Dixon, Montgomery, and Robertson until looks like 4:10 p.m. tonight. Is for the heavy part of the storm that should be in
this
that
big
area.
system's going to move through. Now, we've got a lot of folks in town. We always have a lot of folks in town, but we have a lot of folks in town for SEC Media Days. They're in downtown areas, and we'll need to batten down the hatches down here. What time you've got to work today?
Yep.
Later?
Yep. I'm here. Be over at the Westin Hotel.
Ooh.
It'll be fun.
That will
Bounce
be
around
nice.
From a couple hotels there.
A lot of wet patrons.
Yep. Looking forward to
you
it.
work the valet over there, don't you?
Yeah, I work over there, help out.
Good for you. What's the nicest car you've ever driven?
That differs for everybody. Everybody's got their own opinions. I've driven Lamborghinis before. I've driven some nice
Mason,
Mercedes.
I'm not saying you're.
I'm a big dude.
You're not, but you're a big guy. You're just you're a solid guy.
I'm a big guy. Yeah.
And you can fit in a Lambo?
Not comfortably.
I mean, yeah.
But I've had to drive them before. Yeah.
Do they give you any specialized training when you go into the valet? I mean, you have to be able to drive a stick, obviously.
Actually, no, it's not required anymore because there are more automatic nice cars like that than there are stick anymore. We do try to have at least one person on shift that can drive stick, which I know how to drive it very, very poorly. But if it's needed, I can do it.
You know, it's a perishable skill that we're losing only because
Absolutely.
so many cars, even if they do give you the option to shift, it's paddle shifting.
Yeah, or like that really awkward, the
little
shifter.
gear. Yeah. That's a weird thing.
It's
no,
not worth
no,
it.
no, no. But they have the automatic option, even in more sports design or sports design. So, Lambo, huh? But that was nice.
Yeah, those are really cool. I've driven a McLaren before.
McLarens are nice. Yeah.
Driven.
I hear that those are nice.
Rolls Royce and Bugatti. Those are up there on my list for me.
Yeah,
Bentleys are really
Bentley,
nice.
Yeah. I would expect at the West End in Music City that you see a nice car from time to time.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I used to work over at the Omni Hotel, and a woman for her 42nd birthday was gifted a Rolls Royce. You know what she left in?
What's that?
A Prius.
What?
Her and her friend decided to drive back. She left the Rolls for her husband, who was in a meeting later that day.
Oh, they wanted to go with the Prius.
Yeah. They were all super nice. Loved them all. They were super great for the whole trip, but it just was a little odd to me as a great gift like that.
I've been told that in certain fields that you find that the richer someone gets, the stingier they get with tips. And I know that's such a case-by-case deal.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was like, I've run into country stars who couldn't hardly give a quarter to you, but I've run into people that you wouldn't know the name of, and they've given me $500 in a night.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I find that, and I most certainly am not rich, and I'm certainly not famous, but I have been blessed with the ability to try to tip as much as I can or as much as I want to. And I always say that put yourself in a position or find the spirit of giving to the point that it becomes a selfish act. And I've said that over the years, and people look at me funny. For me, giving is a selfish act because I feel like I get more than the people do. Especially if you can do it in such a way where you can walk away from it before they know. And you're able to do something. I love going into a Waffle House and tipping the amount of the bill. Like if the bill's $25, just leave $50 and then walk and get out of there, because the point is not to get
the accolades
from
or anything
it.
like that. Yeah.
The point is to brighten someone's day. And I promise you, a waiter or a waitress at a Waffle House, a guy parking cars at the West End, they have a lot of bad parts of their day.
Absolutely.
And we want to balance that with some good parts of their day to remind them that there are good people around. And that's what I try to do from time to time. And I hope that these Richie Richardsons, these country music stars, are doing the same thing.
I've worked many a CMA, and we've had some great people. I've had some tough interactions as well. I won't name names, but I've had some bump-ins with
Miranda Lambert.
No,
Miranda Lambert.
It was not.
Oh,
I went on through it. Nope.
Dang. I was hoping.
Nope.
The
may or may not have been Pamela Furr referred to as a what was it? A Dollar General version of her?
Dollar store.
Dollar store Reba is what people have been calling. So you're saying, ooh, see, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get in trouble. I'm already in trouble with the Lambert fans.
Yeah, I was like, I wouldn't touch it.
I'm not touching the Reba stuff. But I'll tell you this.
It may have been her.
I saw an episode. I decided to go another way years ago when, and she might not be wrong, but you don't say it. It was on Ralph Emery's show. This is how long this was ago. My grandmother was watching, and she said on that show, you know how certain stars just reach an elevation where you just say their name and you know who you're talking about? Elvis, Waylon, Madonna, Reba. And I said to myself, that might be true. And maybe we should all, if we are interested in making an impact to the point that people know about the impact that we've made, maybe we strive for that sort of thing. But you don't say it. You don't verbalize it. And you sure as heck don't verbalize it on television.
Nope.
Because it just becomes ego. So, I don't care for all that. But stiffen you and say this confirms.
It wasn't just that.
Attitude?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, you got to just tell the story.
I got to go into it now.
Ahead,
I was
tell
like,
the story.
So I was working. It was a big CMA day, and she came in with her crew. Super nice. Everybody else that I had talked to with her, she had been inside for a little bit. She came out, and I don't know if she had talked to somebody and just had a bad interaction. But when she came out, was probably one of the rudest stars I've ever talked to. She snatched the keys out of our hands, yelled at us to get out of the way, sat in her car for another 40 minutes while she was there, and then zipped past and almost nailed one of my valets.
That's awful.
I've heard great things about Reba, and I was so excited to meet her, and then that was my interaction. I was like,
but if you are that, I mean, I understand that level of fame can become oppressive.
Absolutely.
I get that. But
especially at CMAs.
But you know what?
CMTs.
But guess what? You get a lot of great stuff. I mean, you have a pretty wonderful life if you're Reba McEntire. So why would you turn someone's good attitude into a bad attitude because you're having a bad night?
Absolutely. Yeah, and
I don't know. That's just, and I'm getting anti-Reba messages now.
Just saying, she wants to come on and squash the beef. I'm all for it.
You know what?
You know how interesting that would be?
You know me, Mason. I'm a fence mender. I'm a mediator. I don't get upset. I remain level-headed. McMorry knows this. I'm as cool as the other side of the pillow. I think I can mend these fences. I think I can bring Reba and Mason Fleming together to, basically equals in Nashville.
Absolutely.
And we can mend this rift between the two of them. And we can see a repaired relationship down the road.
We've practically worked together.
And I would be willing to bet, honestly, and as you have worked together with her, I would be willing to bet that deep down she's as bothered by this as you. I bet that since it's happened, it's been gnawing at her to get back together at the Westin Hotel with you.
Absolutely.
Well, I can't wait to see the fence mended between you
Me too.
and a
I'm right
country
there with
music
you.
superstar like Reba McEntire. It is 2:50. Now this is the show that you came to be a part of, right? A calmer, gentler fence mender that is Matt Murphy on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so you heard me talking about it earlier in the show, and you're thinking, man, should today be the day that I go to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix website? Is today the day that I should grab me some tickets? Well, I think so. They are selling out fast, but you still have time. Tickets are on sale right now to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. 3 days of incredible racing in the streets of downtown Nashville. Premium hospitality still available, and yes, one-day tickets available as well. Fan favorite, the Stadium Super Trucks will be going on. Tons and tons of racing. It's all capped off on Sunday with the NTT IndyCar Series racing through the streets of Nashville. If you've never experienced open-wheel racing, man, oh, man. I could do that all day. Big Machine, Music City Grand Prix. Don't miss the party of the year. Grab your tickets before they're gone at MusicCityGP.com. Get amped at MusicCityGP.com.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. When we get to retirement, what do we want to do? We want to go and kick back, right? But we also want to take an income from our investment portfolios. And there are a lot of common myths that I hear about how do you take an income from an investment portfolio. One is that people will get into, this was really big a few years ago, really big, real estate investment trust. Now, real estate gets rented and it kicks off an income, and then you have some kind of dividend that's paid, and because the REIT has to pay out most of the dividend, it's a great way to take income in retirement. But what happens, like what happened recently, when all of a sudden the properties go unrented? What happens to your income? Bye-bye, it's gone. Another thing that I see is this: people buy stocks or stock mutual funds that are dividend paying, and what we'll do is we'll live off the dividends. Well, what is the dividend? It's part of the earnings of the company. So you got the earnings of the company, right? And then what happens is the company may pay out some of the dividend, and they call that a dividend when they pay it out, or they may retain some of it, and it's called retained earnings. Well, the problem is this: what if the company's earnings go down? Just like the real estate investment trust up here, what if the earnings go down? What happens to your dividend? It goes away. All of a sudden, it's bye-bye to your retirement income. So what do we want to do? We want to diversify way better. If you look at the academic research on investing and how to take income from a portfolio, quite often what it is saying, okay, I'm going to have some money in various asset classes. Large companies, small companies, value companies, growth companies, international companies, short-term bonds and intermediate bonds, and so on and so forth. And what I do is I look at these different areas of the market, and they have a historic return. And what happens if the portfolio does this area of the market does better than this one? Well, in that particular year, I'm going to take income from this part of the portfolio. Then the next year, maybe this area does better than everything else. I'll take income from there. So what I'm doing is diversifying, which is an age-old concept. I mean, good grief, Nobel Prize winning concept of investing. And I actually apply it to taking income from a portfolio. So why is it that we often see this kind of stuff? It's because of the fees and the commissions and all of the incentives to sell you things that maybe aren't in your best interest. And a lot of advisors, you look at it, they aren't held to a fiduciary standard. In other words, they don't have to keep your best interest first. Paul Winkler Inc., we hold ourselves voluntarily to that standard, and we actually disclose it in our disclosure brochures. So if you want to know more about what we do and learn more and educate along the way, go to paulwinkler.com. Set up a free 15-minute phone call so that you can learn more, become an educated investor. First step is easy. paulwinkler.com, free 15-minute phone call, and get started ASAP, because you can't afford to wait. You've got to make sure you get this right. You don't get a second shot.
You got severe thunderstorms now veering closer and closer to Nashville. A mother charged with killing her son in Tennessee. A cybersecurity update from the nation's capital. And Tennessee congressman wanting answers on an illegal immigrant in Tennessee that's accused of drugging and raping children for 20-plus years. I'll explain at 3 o'clock. I'm Mac Morey here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Mac Morey. A lot of strong opinions on Reba McEntire on the Super Text line. Many of them in concurrence with Mason's. At least they are sharing their experiences as Mason has shared his.
Understandably so.
All right, a couple of things. One, never you fear. Keep it right here. Chris Weber, Brian Wilson, Jack Womack, Mac Morey, over in the wet. We're going to keep you safe and sound this afternoon as best we can as these storms come through. We're being told 70-mile-an-hour winds, hail in some spots. Mac's got a storyline on that. He's on top of that story. Jack will be on top of the weather implications on traffic. Real quick, Mason, before we go, people want to know, what do you tip a valet?
Oh, goodness. That depends on what's going on. I normally suggest $5 to $7.
$5 to $7.
Yeah.
So 10 spot and that valet's happy.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, there you go.
20 is even better.
Wow, now we're getting a little greedy now, aren't we? Mm-hmm.
I can't complain.
Mason's back tomorrow. I'm back tomorrow at high noon. Until then, have a great afternoon, folks. The Drive comes next.